1996 to 2004, balanced 8 budgets in a row and left a $13 billion surplus for Mr. Harper when he came out in 2006. So he hasn't balanced the budget.
The Liberals actually balanced the budget by taking $25 billion out of our healthcare system. So don't talk about what the Conservatives have done. When we took office in 2006, the first thing we did was pay $38 billion off our national debt. That left us in a place where when we went into the recession, we had some room to wiggle. We agreed with all of our partners, all of the G8 countries, that we were going to go into stimulus funding. It was a global recession beyond our control. And so we did go into stimulus funding, but we always said that our plan was to be back to balanced budget by 2015-16.
So why
we balanced the budget a year ahead of time with a $1.8 billion surplus, and this year we are already ahead with a $5.8 billion surplus. The manufacturing stats, according to Stats Canada, the report was on September the 2nd, said that manufacturing sales are at an all-time high. So we're on track. To do a low tax plan for Canada.
Why is it okay? Why is it okay for your government to do infrastructure spending when there's a global recession, but it's not okay when there's a made in Canada recession? Answer me that.
Because we're not in a recession. There is no We balanced the budget.
The economy.
We balanced the budget a year ahead of time.
The economy could be doing better.
There was a balanced budget.
Let's help it do
We've
better.
had a balanced budget this year as well.
I think I want to ask Ms. Brown what a balanced budget is, because it feels like it's a bit of a smokescreen right now. I also would say that there are times when governments absolutely need to go into a deficit position. At this point in time, the NDP has said we're going to balance our budget because we're going to balance revenues and income with costs and expenses and investments across the country. And we're going to do that not just by raising corporate taxes, and hopefully they don't pass it on to their shareholders, but also by closing corporate loopholes, corporate CEO tax loopholes. Can anyone in this room actually get really excited about the fact that people that make 10 or 20 or 100 or 200 times more money than you have the access to corporate tax loopholes when you have to pay your fair share of taxes? And the other thing is we'll quit subsidizing the fossil fuel industry. I mean, I'm sick and tired of doing gotten us into a situation that we're in right now. We can balance this budget in the first 4 years, and that's what the NDP has decided to do, and they're going to work within that framework. And I do come from Saskatchewan originally, where we've balanced budgets year after year after year by balancing revenues that were resource extraction based, that went back into the coffers of the government to be able to pay for things like Get Ed Ontario. We had dental care, we had prescription drug care at one time because we were able to afford that and balance our budget. It can happen across Canada.
Saskatchewan was a province that received contributions from Ontario year over year over year.
Not how we
and now Saskatchewan has said that they do not want to share their revenues because now that they are self-sufficient and making a profit, they want to keep it for themselves.
Well, we have a Conservative government in Saskatchewan right now, so I'm sure they're not willing to share that.
This one, thank you very much for bringing up the topic of health care. What plans does your party have to ensure there is adequate health care, particularly recognizing the aging population, and that it is available in a timely manner to Canadians in general and your local riding in particular?
Healthcare is critical to the people who live here in Newmarket Aurora, and they want to see sustainable healthcare. We are committed to universal healthcare, and we are going to see that continue. Do you know, the transfers to the province of Ontario alone have doubled under the leadership of our government. When we took office in 2006, the transfer was $10.7 billion. This year alone, it is over $20 billion. The responsibility of the province is to ensure that those healthcare services are available to the people who live in the province. But I just want to take a look here at the budget that we released in April, and it says right here, the government will increase Canada Health Transfer by a projected total of $27 billion over the next 5 years, from $32.1 billion in 2014-15 to $40.9 billion in 2019-20. So the money is there, it is coming into the provinces. We want to ensure that it is there because healthcare is so important to people who live here in Newmarket Aurora.
There's no escalator. You don't even have a funding agreement with the provinces right now. You're looping everything into the transfer to the provinces. There used to be predictable federal funding for healthcare, which is how provinces and here local health integration networks, the LINs,
Mr. Peterson,
they need
it
predictable funding to
absolutely
plan.
is predictable
Excuse me.
funding. They know exactly
It
what's
isn't,
coming
and
to
that's
them.
the problem.
No, they know exactly what's coming because it is.
Because it's right in the book right there.
Sorry, folks. Back to you.
It is.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. It is predictable funding. They know exactly
It's
what they're
insufficient
getting.
and unpredictable funding.
It
You
is.
can't make long-term plans. They need 5, 10, 20-year horizons in the health world. Our population is aging. Healthcare costs are only going to escalate in the next 5 to 10 years and growing.
Well,
We
right
don't
now
have a
in
plan to address it.
Ontario,
Miss,
right
let's
now
put
in
it this way.
Ontario, we're
Miss
spending
Brown,
49 cents out of every
please, I let you
dollar
finish your
on
point.
our
Can I
health
finish
care.
mine?
So the question Ontarians need to ask is, how much are they willing to pay?
Great. So all ask ourselves that, then we can get back to the debate here and maybe we'll have a chance to talk. The issue is funding is insufficient and it's not keeping up with inflation or the increasing cost of healthcare. Healthcare is more than just that as well. There's pharmacare, there's other important aspects that aren't being addressed. And the real fundamental flaw with this government, and Ms. Brown likes to talk about jurisdictions and the Constitution, well, we all know healthcare is a provincial jurisdiction. But this Prime Minister has not met with the premiers once on healthcare in 10 years. Compromise some solutions to these
Responsibility
problems.
of the health
You don't
minister
solve problems
to
by
meet with the
ignoring
health
them.
ministers in the provinces. The Prime Minister has had over 600 meetings with premiers across this country.
Met with the
I'm
premiers.
talking about a premier's conference.
So it
We
is the
can hammer these things out.
responsibility of the
Okay, I'd
health
like to hear
ministers
from
to
the
meet
NDP
together
party. I'd like
with
to
the
be
Minister
interested
of
in
Health
their point of
Canada.
view.
Thank you. I think this is our area. Healthcare in Canada cannot go forward unless we have a leader that's willing to sit with the provinces, to renew the health accord, to renew the Public Health Agency, which was responsible for research and which was responsible for coordinating a lot of the efforts across Canada to be able to make healthcare better, improve it, and also make it more efficient. So I think we need to talk about not just the lack of leadership that we've had at the federal level. I think we need to talk about the cuts that came prior to the Conservative government on the backs of the Liberals. And I'm worried about their deficit planning, not because I don't think it will do some of what they're saying it's going to do, but I worry about what the cuts will look like after 4 years, to healthcare in particular, when money needs to be retrieved and we need to balance that budget. Because we balanced that budget before on the backs of people and healthcare. I think our national pharmacare strategy that the NDP is proposing is without a doubt has the best business model sense, and you can't argue with me on this one, because we are going to negotiate lower prices for prescription drugs with big pharma, and also because of we can negotiate, and we can also get lower prices because of mass purchasing. This is a plan that we had in Saskatchewan. It's a plan that Jack Layton wanted to introduce. Why are we not doing this? And the NDP will do this. So I think as our legacy, healthcare is the one thing that you can count on us to protect and to keep the other parties in check when it comes to making massive cuts, and in particular the Conservatives, who don't even want to talk with the premiers. We've seen nurses across Canada this year stand up and absolutely support the NDP because they trust us and no one else to protect our healthcare system.
Is not talking about is the responsibility of the provinces to make decisions on their own pharmacare and their own formulary that they are prepared to fund.
We can work with
So
the
what our
provinces.
health minister has done is met with all of the health ministers from across the country, including the territories, to ensure that we do look at innovative solutions to purchase bulk purchases of pharmaceuticals. Because she's right, with economies of scale, we can get much better prices. However, it is a decision of the provinces and their health ministers to make that determination and to see which drugs it is that they are going to want to purchase. It is not a one-size-fits-all, which is why a national pharmacare is just not possible to negotiate. Because healthcare.
Just like universal health care wasn't possible at one time too, right?
Comments? I think we'll take a little pause and you can give everybody a round of applause.